Okay, so today I want to go over the setup process for using one of these ESP8266 modules with the new Arduino IDE. So I have this one. This has been laying around in my pile of stuff for literal years at this point. But it says it's a D1 Mini on it, and we're going to remember that for later because we're going to need that for when we tell the Arduino IDE what kind of board this is. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the software that we're going to install. Now, if you're unaware, the Arduino IDE has been relatively recently updated to Arduino IDE 2.0.3. And before the Arduino IDE version 2 was a thing that was in beta as of probably about a month ago, I think was the last time I looked at this. But the old version of the Arduino IDE is now known as the Legacy IDE, which is the latest version of that's 1.8.19. I assume that one's going to be phased out slowly and will no longer have support after a while. So, step one to setting this up with the new Arduino IDE is to download the version 2 IDE. You can do that from this website. I'll link both the sites that we're going to use down in the description. But of course, this is just the standard Arduino website where you can click on software and then download whichever installer you want. In my case, Apple Silicon Mac OS is what I used. But you install the Arduino IDE in whichever manner you would normally install software for your particular computer. The other thing that we need is this GitHub website, which is the boards manager, or it contains the board manager URL that we need, which is right here. It says board manager link. We're going to highlight that, and we're going to copy it, and we'll have that for later. So we no longer need this window open, and we can go ahead and fire up the Arduino IDE. And I'm just going to move this up into the corner so it's a little bit easier to follow what I do with the menus. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to Arduino IDE, and we're going to open the preferences. And right here you'll see this additional boards manager URL. And this will be blank on a clean install of the Arduino IDE, so it'll look like this. And all you'll do is paste in that link that we just copied. And if you already have one in here, you can go in and open that little guy. From here, you can just hit the enter key and you can paste in multiple boards manager files if you had more than just the ESP8266. But we only have the one, so we're going to leave that as it is. We're going to click on OK. And the next thing we need to do is open the boards manager, which you can do by clicking this button here, or you can go up into Tools, Board, and then Boards Manager, or you can use a keyboard shortcut for it. So 3 different ways to open this. And I'll just expand this out a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. We're going to scroll down in this part of the window until we find ESP8266 by ESP8266 Community. You'll see I already have it installed. I could also uninstall it from here, but it'll look pretty much the same. It'll have an install button right there. Current version is 3.0.2, and that's the one that I have installed. You can also, if you have a whole bunch of these, it may be easier to search for it. You can search ESP8266 up here, and it'll pop right up. But either way, you're going to click on that little install button. It's going to take a couple minutes to gather all the required files and libraries and whatnot. It'll install quite a bit of stuff, and it will take a few minutes to complete, but once it's done, we can close out of the boards manager thing. And if we go into Tools and then Board, you'll see that we now have an extra boards category here of ESP8266, and we can select the module that we have. So in my case, it is this guy. I'm not really sure what the brand is, to be honest, on mine. I think it's probably just some kind of knockoff, but it's a D1 Mini, so I've found that this one seems to work fine for what I'm trying to do, at least. So we're just going to do that. And the next thing that we need to do is figure out the serial port. This is standard across most Arduinos, but you can look in here and you can look for your different ports. So I have 2 ports. One of them is the Bluetooth of my laptop. The other one is the port that we need. And a little trick, if you don't know what port you should be selecting, what you can do is just unplug your board and then go back into Tools and Port, and you'll see that one is missing. If I plug the board back in, Go Tools, Port. I gotta click off the menu first, but Tools, Port, and then it'll come back. So mine is this cu.usb serial-310. Usually on Windows, they just show up as COM1, COM2, COM3, etc. So it'll be whichever one isn't. So it'll be whichever one of those that magically pops up when you plug your board in. Now, the next thing we want to do is try to upload something to this board. So we're going to go into File, Examples, and then we're going to use this ESP8266 and then Blink just to start off with. And that opens up in a new window, so I'm going to close out of this blank one and put this guy back up here. So this does the same thing as the normal Arduino Blink sketch, where it simply blinks the onboard LED. So if I switch this over, there we go. We're now blinking the onboard LED of the ESP8266 module. Now that's all well and dandy, but this is a Wi-Fi module, so really what we want to do is get the Wi-Fi working. In order to do that, we're going to run another example code that happens to exist in here. I'm going to go down to ESP8266 web server, and we're going to look at the hello server example. And we'll close out of the Blink one. We're done with that. Put this guy up here. Now right at the top of this code, lines 7 and 8, you see these defined STA-SSID and STA-PSK. So that's your Wi-Fi SSID, which is the name of your Wi-Fi network, and the other thing is the password for your Wi-Fi network. So I'll go ahead and put in mine. Alright, with my Wi-Fi name and password now entered into the code, we're going to click on the upload button. And when you upload these sketches, they like to give you quite a bit of output, and you'll see here in a second what it ends in and how you'll know that it's successfully uploaded. And this last thing that says leaving hard resetting via RTS pin, that means that it has uploaded successfully and it should be running now. And what I'm going to do is click on the serial monitor button. Just going to bring up the serial monitor down here. We want to have this set to 115,200 baud because that's what this code is using. And you can see that right here in the code. So next what I'm going to do is press the reset button on my board. Happens to be right there. And we're going to go back to the other screen. It spits out a whole bunch of gibberish when you first press the reset button. I'm not really sure what all that's about, but it doesn't matter. We can ignore that. While it's connecting to the Wi-Fi network, it'll just constantly print out these little periods over and over again. Once it connects, it'll say connected to whatever your Wi-Fi name is at this IP address, and it tells you a couple things are started. So at this point, if we go back to our web browser, at this point, I've just typed in the IP address that shows up in the Arduino serial monitor into a browser. If we hit enter on that, we'll get a couple things that show up down here on the serial monitor, and it tells you hello from ESP8266. So we are successfully running a web server off of our little microcontroller. And if I were to unplug the microcontroller and then go back over here and refresh this page, it's no longer going to work. It's eventually going to probably time out here. You can see that it's trying to load something, but it doesn't exist anymore, so it's not going to work too well. Anyway, I figured I'd just go through that process because I didn't see any videos showing how to do it with the new Arduino IDE. And I kind of just dusted this guy off from the parts bin because I have an idea of what I want to do with it. So if you're curious about the project that I come up with for this thing, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. If you found this video helpful, click the like button. If you have any questions about how this stuff worked, maybe I can help you out, consider leaving a comment down below. I'll do what I can to reply to them. So anyway, see you in the next one, guys. Bye.